Well, good morning, everyone. We have the ambassador with us this morning, and yes, it is still morning his time. Uh, and he's feeling a little bit better, which is why we have him here, and I'm really happy for that. He's been a little under the weather for the last few days. But today we're going to clear up some of the misconceptions that people have in regard to headlines and other things like that. And one of them, of course, is the headline that said that we issued some kind of a final ultimatum and what may even appeared as a death threat to the Pope. And I want to ask the ambassador to clarify that as we begin this morning. So, good morning, Mr. Ambassador, and you've heard the opening comment there about that headline that you brought. You were the one that actually brought it to my attention. So. Anyway, go ahead, speak to us.
Yes, good day, everyone. No, I noticed that it's a lot of people that was in the headlines was stating that basically that surrender or die to the Pope. Now the thing is this way: is that very simple. It's like I stated during the programs: is that I myself is not waging a war on the Pope. Basically, God is. And he has a responsibility to his people, over the 1 billion of his own followers, but also to the other people that he holds in shackle, traumatizing the world with maritime law and canon law, and also being behind the scene of a lot of financial tyranny, and also at the same time a lot of other crimes against humanity and human trafficking. Now, the only problem with human trafficking is not only, the prostitution part of it. There's a lot of other human trafficking going on around the world, where people are basically profiting on people's movement around the world and making money. And it's a huge, what's called black money operation in human smuggling. That's why I think that the governments and the corporations and the Vatican and everyone else who claims that they want to fight it, in reality are benefiting off it. So it's just like empty words. Now, the thing is this way: I do not issue threats to people about their own things. I think that it's more important for them to worry about God and about their own souls than it is. Now, maybe people can say, yes, but these people have maybe already sold their souls, so they think that it's no redemption, for them. Now, the situation is this way: that's between them and God. I hope that anyone that is, what's called enough remorseful and do the right changes, that even God will be merciful enough to forgive them. And then people tell me, yeah, but demons basically cannot be redeemed. God, Enoch was asking on behalf of the demons to redeem them, and basically God said they are not redeemable. But, it's again so important for everyone else that we are the ones that are empowering these people. Now, when we talk about the final ultimatum, I believe that, yes, it is an ultimatum to these people. I believe that it's time for them to stop with this aggression. I believe it's time for us to stop empowering these people. And if we're not doing that, then basically it's not going to be, it's going to be the last of this battle. It's just going to be another band-aid, me wasting my time and energy trying to enlighten people and trying to assist people and trying to empowering people. And basically in the end, it's just going to be the same rubbish as we have seen year after year after year after year. Okay? Now, it's a lot of people that claims to be the last line of the defense and things like that, and using that as headlines. And I find it so, laughable that I'm almost, I don't know if it's a fucking joke or if people really believes that certain characters are the last line of defense, then I think we should all run and hide. Okay? And, I believe that us as a united people, all people from all around the world, if we unitively put a stop, we will together be the last line of defense. But a few, ignorant people or a few egocentric characters or some of a spiritually diluted characters, believing that they are the last line of defense. I mean, you guys need to watch yourself in the mirror and wake up. You understand? And I do not in any shape or form claim that I'm the last line of defense, because that would be quite ridiculous to make such a claim. But I believe us unitively could be the last line of defense for humanity. And I think
standing together.
Exactly, that is what I'm trying to promote. Now, of course, the Cabal wants to always make themselves look like victims. They always want to look like, oh, we are under attack. Other people are terrorists and aggressors and things like that. Just look what's happening now in France. I mean, the first thing you had this, psychopath, Mr. Bibi, going out, Benjamin Netanyahu going out and stating that, this is what France has to, pay for that they're supporting Palestine. I think it's quite low of a guy to use such a heinous situation for his own benefit. That's a sign of a psychopathic terrorist, by my opinion, and that he has no respect for the people in France or for anyone on the planet more than himself. I think that, again, it shows the light on the true terrorists on this planet. And even many things that was happening was quite questionable. And
I saw some of the videos.
Yeah, and it's quite questionable. And again, it has been divided people again. It has again created hate between people as they want. And all the positive things that was happening for Palestine is now suddenly totally undermined with what's supposedly happened in France. And, no one talks about, you have even people which have this goldfish memory system, like, most of the people have. And probably after this talk, most of the people are not going to remember what you and me were talking about either way. But, this is the tool of a Satan that he succeeds to use with people, because people have such a short memory span. Now, like I saw the head of the CIA was stating basically that, this was the most heinous crime in terrorism since the London bombing. Of course, he ceased to forget about the Norwegian Christian fundamentalist terrorist from the Temple Knights that was killing all the children on the island and blowing up government buildings not so long time ago in Norway. But, that's, of course, not terrorism. That is probably humanitarianism. He's a great humanitarian, okay? I don't know how you define who is a terrorist and who is a criminal. I believe that majority of the people in power on the planet are terrorists and are criminals. And, who are the ones that basically allow them to continue? It's us. So we are collectively responsible for these criminals. And I think that a lot of people doesn't like to hear it because they always want to escape responsibility for everything. They're always victims. Yes, people, you always claim to be victims. But what you're going to do about it? You're going to allow these people to continue to rape you? And even I have been hearing that people was trying to excuse me that I was using harsh words and things like this. I'm sorry if you guys being traumatized. But when you guys getting ass fucked every single day with a big feast dildo, you guys are not complaining. Okay? So it's maybe time for you to wake up instead of being traumatized by me using some harsh words. Wake up to your reality instead. If you people want to sit here and become political correct, I've been political correct for a long time. I've been trying to be going on the normal, polite manner and trying to basically glide you into consciousness. But you guys doesn't want to listen. So how are you going to be able to listen? Just by brute force? When it happens to you? And this is what I stated. What are we going to tell our children? What are we going to tell our children? And now what is important here, instead of focusing on the money and the gold and the boxes and the, people were claiming I was stating that the US dollar is gold backed and things like this. And I didn't make that statement. It was Benjamin Fulford that made that statement. And that, he has to stand for his explanations and his stories, whoever give it to him. But the thing is this way, is that the most important thing here is to keep the focus what's important here. Because what's important here is basically our freedom. What is important here is actually our rights. What is important here is the future of our children. Are we going to allow ourselves to be continued being manhandled by a little group of old psychopathic old men and women that are like men, that's going to be continuously traumatizing us year out and year in? And, it's also quite funny, you were out on a hypocrisy thing about yesterday, about that you were not allowed to record this criminal bank that wanted to speak to you. Now, the thing is this way, is that, it's not allowed to record people without your knowledge. In which country? You should ask your lawyer, in which country? In some countries it's allowed. So, under which law you want to use it? Where we're supposed to battle it? You ignorant people. Now let's work together. Let's work together to set these things right. I'm not sitting here on the high horses and try to talk down to people. I'm saying this to you all so that people are waking up. Look at yourself in the mirror. It's like people stating, I'm not living the 666 life like you and Ron. I'm living 555. Make sure that I get 40% of everything that this person owns.
Oh, I know who you're talking about there.
My question is this: did you reflect on yourself in the mirror? Who the hell is living the 666? 40% of other person's labor? Are you serious? That's worse than slavery. The thing is this way, is that people has to wake up to the reality. We all are united. Doesn't matter which color we come from. We need to work together. All nations need to work together. All the family people needs to work together. All the great, intelligent scientists we need to sit down together, work together and find a solution for our planet. And to work together as one unity. I'm not aggressing on the Pope because he's a Christian. Christians has been aggressing on the world for 2,000 years, but I'm not aggressing on him. Okay? And the thing is this way, I'm not aggressing on the Muslims. Even though that unfortunately they have been transformed into a very weird being in this last years. I think they have lost track. Maybe it's time for you guys to turn back to what is true Islam. Okay? And the thing is this way, a lot of religion, like Buddhists, terrorists, and all type of strange religious fundamentalists from all forms of religion are using violence, okay, to basically overthrow other religious minorities and traumatizing the world. Let's sit together, work together. Maybe we should let the United Nations for the first time in world history actually do something positive and sit down and talk there and find solution to the problems all around the world. Okay? And I think that there's a lot of good people all around the world. And there's a lot of people, visionaries that likes to do the good thing for the future. Okay? And we need to sit there and find that solution together and keep the focus on that.
Yeah, you mentioned different times in different conversations that the mandate has ended. And there's been different comments over the past couple of weeks, maybe longer than that. As what evidence do we have that the mandate is ended? Now, I always talk about the BRICS nations and what they're trying to do, but still very little of that has filtered to the West. What do you have to? Can you say anything to the people that would
basically the mandate for this last era, for the last years, which is a time frame, has ended, and now it is a new era. Okay, last time it was around the Second World War. Now it's a new era again. And so the mandate was not renewed to some of the psychopaths that used to be. But of course, we are in a transition time. It's time when we are transitioning from the old into the new. And during this period of time, normally we have extreme birth pains around the world. Last time we had the Second World War, as I told you. And, our intent is to get through this transformation without wars, and get through this transformation without too much birth pains. Okay, and when the baby 555 needs to be born, it should be done without we need to use circumcision, or that we need to use basically some violent means to release this baby. We want it to be a natural and easy birth. Okay, and that's basically what we are talking about. Also, it's a lot of people that is keeping focus on things that is not very much important. When for example, if I release an information, for example, like we did with the accounts, this is just one of the accounts. It was to show who is who, what is what, and what way it's divided. Okay. Now, this is the same thing with all the other ones too. It's the same type of system. Now, the situation here is also the same thing. It's in relations to all the other things that we talk about. I have seen, since we were doing our program with talking, with both the Phoenix when it was rising, the same thing with during Christmas and New Year, and then with the situation with the Pope, we have seen that a lot of things is coinciding. But also I have seen that there's a lot of activities from the dark side, from all from the corners, even from the corners from what you would normally think would be a supportive side of the world. A lot of people are being traumatized. A lot of people doesn't want to let go to the old paradigm. People doesn't want to let go to the old system. And people feel secure in the old system of tyranny, and they don't want to let go. It's like this. Yeah, and so it is also like a lot of people that lives in battered relationships. They still being beaten by their husband and being abused, but they still love him and still stay in the relationship. We humans are like that, unfortunately.
That's
on a
the
massive
Stockholm
scale.
syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of people are living the Stockholm syndrome. And also, the thing is this way, is that I think that, like when I see all this disinformation that is going out there, I think that it's time for us to not sponsor this, just close them down. Close down these corporations to behind it. We don't want to see it. We don't want to look at it. Leave us alone. And I believe that in reality, we're talking about freedom of speech. I believe that majority of the journalists are probably should be accountable as some of the worst war criminals on the planet. They are part of the military complex. They are part of the propaganda warfare machinery. And they are basically our co-partners and supporters of millions of dead people on the planet. They're worse than any Al-Qaeda, ISIS terrorists on the planet. And yes, you journalists that's listening to that, you should look yourself in the mirror and finally, say, when should I start telling the truth? When should I start actually doing the work that I claim I want to do? The same thing for doctors. When are you guys going to start doing what's good for the patient, not what's good for your salary and for the medical corporations? So, and the same thing is for the police officers, same thing for the military people. Everyone that works inside any form of structure are empowering this beast, and this beast need to be neutralized. And do we say that this is a final warning? Yes, it is a final warning to humanity every single time we remind you about it. But I understand that it's hard for a drug addict, like an alcoholic, to say, yeah, I will stop drinking alcohol. But, and then suddenly he starts drinking again. Oh, I will do it, stop next week. That's the behavior. That's the behavior of a collective humanity that we have today. We're not ready to do the changes now. We need to do it now. It needs to be done immediate. And yes, if you don't do it, it will be consequences for all of us. And then you will have to answer to your children, or maybe even to God. Why didn't you do something? You are guilty. Even like the story about the emperor, when he saw the three pigs, even these three pigs has done more for humanity than what you have. Okay? Maybe that should be a reminder to all of you.
Yeah. Did you happen to see the video of the German journalist who came out and told that that he was given, his stories were written for him actually by the CIA and by intelligence agencies, and this is what we want you to put your name on, and he didn't even write it, but he came out and really told the truth. Did you happen to catch that video?
No, I didn't, but I'm not very much surprised.
Yeah, he's another one that's coming out of the closet, so to speak, and saying, well, this is the way journalism has been working in Germany, and I know it from other journalists that it happens this way all over the world. The intelligence agencies write our stories, and that's what gets reported on the mainstream news, and it's total lies.
No, it is like, it's like we are, you and me have discovered this last, months, is that the biggest threat to humanity most likely is Iran. And I don't know what to do about it, but, I'm very much traumatized about Iran. And I don't know how we're going to.
You're serious now, right? I told, for those of you that are listening, I was at a meeting last night where there were a dozen or so of us that were giving our predictions as to what we think might happen in 2015. And there were a couple of people there that obviously get all of their news from the mainstream media. And the one individual made the comment that the biggest threat is Iran. And there was another man there who was actually, who is a Palestinian, who's worked for the U.S. State Department. He's retired now, but he translates from Arabic to English, and he corrected this gentleman. He said, "You are very misinformed." And I got a big chuckle out of that, because this was one instance where the people that were brainwashed by the Western media were in the minority, and the rest, and most of the people there were at least knowledgeable enough to realize that it's been a propaganda warfare that's been going on, and a lot of what we've been told is just simply lies.
No, I believe that the biggest threat that we have to humanity is ignorance. And ignorance exists in every single part of the world, in every single country. And so it's no special country that is more dangerous than anyone else. I believe where people are stupid enough to believe that they have no problem is where you have the biggest problem. You understand? And it's like, when you look at the situation, we're coming from countries, both me and you yourself, from a region where we have been, attacking hundreds of countries, overthrowing governments, killing millions of people, torturing people, and in the name of so-called freedom and democracy, or whatever type of lies we want to use. And we are, trying to moralize the world about how they're supposed to live, and that we are on some form of moral high horse. I think you people should be ashamed of yourselves, and wake up to the reality. And you can say, "Oh, well, I was not guilty for it." Yeah, but if you was voting, if you were not doing anything to remove these criminals, or never even voiced an opinion against these criminals through this years, yeah, by my opinion, you are a co-conspirator. And I know that a lot of people doesn't like to hear this, because no one likes to take responsibility for anything they do. They always want to blame others. And I think this is what is the problem. We need to stop blaming others and look into ourselves and see what can we do to change the world. And, and what do I do to change the world? And I try to do my best. And I will continue to do that until the day I pass this over to the other side, wherever that will be. But at the same time, I'm not giving up the battle, at least. That's my little internal holy war that I need to do. And I believe that we all need to,
Yeah, the subject, the same individual who obviously gets his information from the mainstream media, he started talking about the danger of jihad. And I stepped in then when he brought the word jihad up. I says, "You have no clue what a jihad is. It's about It's about a war that takes place in us between the demon and the angel that are within each of us. And it's not what we've been told in the Western media. It's not about a bunch of warmongers, and the warmongers are actually, that came out in the conversation last night too. ISIS and Al Qaeda and all these things are created by the Mossad and the CIA and the MI5 and the intelligence agencies. They're the ones that are doing the jihad, not as it, you know, they're hiring these actors basically. But the point was, the jihad is a spiritual battle that takes place in us, and I learned that from you, Mr. Ambassador.
And also, one thing that we need to understand is that, you know, it's not only, you know, the problem over here. The problem is also within the Muslims. Is that majority of the Muslims, unfortunately, doesn't know anything about their own religion, like most Christians. Yes. And they have never studied the things. And some of these kids growing up around the world, seeing all the terrorism and trauma that the West is doing against you know, these other countries, develop a form of hate against this, you know, both, and thanks to the media, develop a hate. And then they don't know anything about the religion, that they're easily being sucked in to this disformed fake Islam, you know, a created Islam by the same people that they hate. Because in reality, you know, the Mujahideen in Afghanistan was created by the CIA. The Taliban, you know, was created by the CIA. Al Qaeda was created by CIA. Okay, and same goes on and goes on with each and every fucking terrorist organization. And when they had enough of them, when they are not useful for them anymore, then basically they destroy them and start using money to waste on that instead. It's an endless war, never stopping, never ending. And in the process, millions of people have been killed, traumatized, and dead. And thanks to the ignorance of people, we have allowed it to continue without allowing the real terrorists and the real criminals to be facing charges for the crimes. And I think this is time now. And yes, this is time now. This is the final awakening that is taking place for humanity that needs to be done during this year to bring these people to the rightful place. And that's basically a cozy prison cell somewhere in Siberia or something. You know, some other place like that, that they don't, you know, we don't need to hear their whining cries coming out of, and that they can basically be traumatized with their own actions and cleansed in this re-education camp. And then basically they can maybe be repurposed for the world later. But at this point of time, I think they need to be re-educated and they need to be repurposed. And if you can go through the transformation without assistance from others, it would be very nice. But otherwise, I think that yes, that's the only way humanity will be able to set themselves free, is to basically bring these people to their, you know, maker.
Yeah, well, I don't like to talk about the death of anyone, and neither do you. We've talked about that many times. But people that do not want to remit and surrender and repent and do the right thing and start telling the truth, we've got to wage a spiritual warfare. Mostly, you know, in fact, somebody wrote to me, instead of calling it the war on ignorance, let's call it the mission to awaken. You know, I thought that was a really good comment, but it is a spiritual warfare that we're involved in. In fact, I'm going to be probably talking about that in my next video that I do by myself. But it is a mission to awaken, and it is a war on ignorance. Both are correct.
Yes. The problem is that the awakening is going on side by side on the war on ignorance. Okay? But it's important to allow the sheep to be awakened. You know, we are trying to do this through many ways. I mean, through our talks that you and me do, through, you know, the discussions we had on the Smiths program and on the Kay Baker show and so on and so on. But I mean, you could even see on the sum of the people that is listening to your programs and Kay Baker and Smith and things like this. Many of these people, they are coming from their own perspective of what is reality. And many of them are basically a part of the programming. I mean, they've been so badly programmed that it takes a long time on them to basically be awakened, if ever. Understand? But it's important for the people that are not that programmed, who sees this opportunity. And by the way, I think Baker did a very good program in keeping people awake to what's happening in Paris. And I think it's important that people all over the world do these things to try to keep the people aware and not buy into this rubbish. Okay? And the thing is this way is that, you know, it's like people say, oh, you know, this is this and this and this, and this person is doing disinformation, this person is saying that. And, you know, I stated this many times before, you know, in defense, okay, in defense of Benjamin Fulford. People say, oh, this money is not good back, he's a disinformation agent, and so on and so on. You guys are all from the Dragon family, whatever. Yes, we are from a different part of the family. And but at the same time, you know, who says that he, you know, was behind giving misinformation? Maybe someone was giving misinformation to him and he thought it was credible. I don't know what is the truth about things, but the way that I look at him is that I see that he is a good guy, as I see that many others in this environment that we are doing are good people. It's just that, you know, it's not very easy to do these things. And I would wonder how many times people pay attention to all the other misquotation and disinformation that has been put by the normal media or by the politicians on their own leaders that they are, you know, don't want to hold accountable for their wrong things. And they want to just aggress on one person for something that maybe they don't even understand. It's the same thing that, you know, they said, oh, Benjamin Fulford was wrong. He said that this year, this will end, 2012, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Unfortunately, you guys were not aware enough that he actually was correct. Okay, he was actually correct. That was the year and the end of the mandate. So, you know, it gives him some credibility. So, you know, it's very important not just to aggress some people. I wish that Karen Hughes would be on doing good work and, you know, do the things that is good for humanity. I wish that Neil Keeman, you know, would get his act together and you know, do his, you know, do something that is positive for humanity and work with unity instead of division and aggression. And I believe that there's a lot of people that needs to do things to change themselves. And also I think that, you know, the problem, many people get angry with me, maybe if I say that, that, you know, people that believes in a rapture and stuff like that, and they want the aliens to come and, you know, they listen to Cobra, and they want the aliens to be the solutions, and they want the, you know, all this type of things and the big event and whatever. You know, you guys are the big event. If you get deceived into allow someone else to save you all the time, or that someone has to die for your sin on the cross because you're not ready to deal with your own sins, I think you guys have a problem. We need to deal ourselves with our own problems, and we need to set ourselves free. And yes, we need to forgive each other. Yes, we need to work together. Yes, we need to work as one unity and for the right. And that's what we need to put the focus on in this year, 2015, and to make sure that we have a 2016, and to make sure that we have a continuing pattern of New Year's coming in good ways, instead of always having this psychopathic pastor mentality, you know, crying out for a doomsday scenario when the whole world would be in a blaze of glory, and then living in a false illusion that they're going to immediately be raptured and taken to paradise, most likely going to all be brought to hell. Okay? Because they're idol worshippers. So it's time for people to be awakened to what is right now. Change the world now. You have a possibility. Take away the doctrine, take away the religion, take away all this type of satanic things and work for one common cause, and that's for all of us. And that will make God and the Creator happy.
Yeah.
Okay?
One thing came to me as you were talking there that somebody asked me about Prince William going to America and signing some papers with Obama. And I didn't know how to answer that question, but
you don't even need to answer that. Such a stupid question.
They asked me, could I confirm, did that really happen? And I don't know. Did it?
But I mean, does that really matter for them if he did or not?
Yeah. I don't know. It was a question that came last night in the meeting.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is with most of these people, now again, people are going to be really upset with me because I'm calling them things. How many times have you guys heard, that Obama has been arrested this last years? How many times have you guys heard that, now this person's all has signed off, the money has been moved there, and we're going to have a release of funds, and now this person signed, and this was the last person signing on it, and all this different type of things. How many times have you guys listened to it? How many times you need to get that thrown in your face before you guys can be awakened enough to understand that people are playing games with you?
Yeah.
You understand? This is a fucking, I'm sorry to use harsh words again, but this is being retarded, okay? And it doesn't really gonna change a thing if he did it or if he didn't do it, because if he needs to go anywhere to sign something off, that should not be in the United States. It should be, in that case, at another location, and it's time for them to remit the funds back to the rightful owner of these assets for the planet, and that is keeping it on behalf of the human population, and not going around in a political environment in Washington, D.C., signing off things to the United States. You can understand yourself that this old way of thinking that we had for so many years needs to end. It's game over, okay? United States is not what United States used to be. You maybe don't like it, but that's the fact. And if it's something that you want to be awakened to and think about, it's basically, what's coming to you in the nearest future. To build something new, you need to destroy the old. So you have to be awakened to that and prepare yourself for that. Then basically you're all going to be able to get yourself free after that. Maybe you need to get released from the shadow before that. But this is the thing that is so much traumatizing. This is what you read on all these disinformation pages. It's all, now they were doing this, and now they're arresting this person, and then they came and now they are, this person came to sign, and now this other person coming to sign this, and after that we're gonna release the funds and stuff like that. Yeah. It's always nice to dream.
Thank you. I wasn't sure how to answer that when it was posed directly to me last night. So I appreciate.
No, but the thing is this way. In reality, this is what people has to realize. Is this? That's why I didn't want to engage in the past, okay, with being some form of news journalistic updater. I said I leave that to Neil, to Benjamin Fulford and other people. That Benjamin Fulford actually is a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I leave it up to the people that works in that field. I'm here to try to awaken and assist the people and empower people and give them some form of hope. I'm not here to disinform people and having them focus on things that is completely unrelevant to them. Okay? It's not going to change a shit for them if he was or he wasn't. If he confirms this or not confirm it. He's just going to, it's the same thing as that, oh, grandpa says this and grandma said that. If you want grandma and grandpas, we're going to send you a few thousand if you like to in America. Okay? How many you need? We have a lot of grandpa and grandmas in China. Want us to send some to you?
And they're all levels of the family at some level. They might be, what we used to call in our family woodpile relatives. They
Yeah.
maybe have the same last name and they're connected in some way, but they're actually far removed in in many ways.
I
And
don't want to. I don't want to insult people, but I want people to be awakened. It's a lot of people that has invested funds and money and time for years into illusions and dreams. Do I say that it might never happen? No, I don't. But don't expect it to happen the way that you think or what people told you that it's supposed to happen. Okay? And the thing is this way is that I want people to start using common sense. One time the M1 told me a very, 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 very important thing. He said, you know, I'm not here, okay, to create another elite. I'm here to help and empower the people. You know who I'm talking about. You
yes,
have also spoken to him.
I talked
Yeah,
briefly to that gentleman.
yeah. And the thing is this way is that this is basically what I'm stating. Okay, is that, you know, this is where we need to keep the focus. And but the problem is that these people wants to be a part of the new elite. And this is also a worry that I see now in the transformation, even in China, is that now the Chinese becomes very rich, Russians become very rich. And I see that unfortunately a lot of people is heading into the same default character as the rich people have in Europe and America.
Yeah.
And they become all attached to their so-called wealth and so-called money. So are we wanting to change Coca-Cola with Coca-Cola Light? I don't think so. Okay? So the thing is this way, it's time for everyone, both in East and in West, okay, to keep the focus in how to basically find solution for everyone, because we all live on the same planet. So we all are dependent on each other. We all need each other to be able to go where we need to go. So this is very, very important. And you know, if we think that, you know, if I become a, you know, this is also the thing, I'm gonna have billions, I'm gonna have trillions. You know, go and look at the richest royals on the planet, the so-called official short on it. Do you really believe that your governments and your nations and other people will allow you to bypass these people? You have to start using common sense. But what's important is for you to have enough money, to not have debt, not be able to do the things that you want to do, and supply and support your family, and to be able to do good for all humans on the planet. Now people are going to say, oh, the ambassador is a communist. No, I'm not a communist. Okay? I'm believing in common sense. Unfortunately, communism is a good idea, but it didn't work with people. Okay?
Same with democracy.
Yeah, exactly. Most things, unfortunately, doesn't work with people. So the thing is this way, is that it's very, very important, okay, for us to try to find solutions to the problem. We need to do that unifiedly. We need to have each nation working together hand in hand. And it's so many intelligent people all over the world. It's so many good people all over the world. And the bad people, I believe, is the minority. But unfortunately, the minority makes the majority of decisions. So this is what is the problem. And so we need to remove this cancer from humanity and basically to be able to be free.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And, you know, I think I feel really good about this conversation we've just had that we're going to be sharing with the people. It's been about 45 minutes now. So I'm going to wrap it up. But I thank you for taking the time. I'm glad you're feeling better. And I look forward to listening to this myself. And I'm sure a lot of other people will be very happy to hear some of the things that we shared together today. And I thank you, Mr. Ambassador.
I hope that people will be happy, and I hope that people will not be feeling offended by me telling you the truth. But I think it's important that you deal with the truth, okay? And it's important that you look yourself in the mirror and deal with the reality. And together we can get these things done. And keep focusing on totally unimportant matters, okay? And try to stop living in Disneyland. Because don't forget one important thing, okay? 666 and his people have a PhD in deception, okay? But even some of this deception is that retarded that even a baby should be able to look through it. Okay, so please do not support this type of ignorant ideas, okay? And please do what's right for all of us, and that's basically educate our children, educate people about the truth, and resist every form of tyranny on this planet. With that, I wish you all a good weekend, everyone. And I was not here to offend anyone. I was here to awaken people.
Thank you, my brother. Much appreciated. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, bro.